following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well. How are you doing on this fantastic morning? Yes, fantastic it is. Fantastic morning is what we have going on. Just in case if you're lost in time, today is Friday, October the 8th of 2021, day 281st of the year. And only, well, we got it. 84 days left to go before it is all over. Yes, all over with. So there you go. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. I have to tell you, the amount of stuff that was not powered on for the beginning of this thing is mind-boggling, just to tell you the truth. So there you go, coming across the multiverse, and then we're hanging out with our friends and colleagues, over there. Radio. So let me explain to you what is going on today, because it is Freeform Friday, so we will hang, do, move, groove, and all that kind of fun stuff, doing the things that we do on this side of the equation. So you're more than welcome on coming out, hanging out, and hanging with us. Now, here's the fun part. Depending on what side of the equation you're with us at, here's what's going on. Big news breaking out that Twitch had a major breach inside of their system, so they had to do a lot of resetting of their servers, so you might see a lot of things down on that side of the house, so don't worry too much about that. We should be up and running, I'm hoping, over there currently, so if you want to come out, hang out, and all that kind of fun stuff, you're more than welcome on doing so. So what happens on Fridays is we do it slightly different. So Fridays we are going to do this, because this is what it is. It's kind of like the freeform, so we talk about a little bit about everything as it comes in, populates inside of the text box. So not 100% sure if we have eyes out there this mañana as it comes about, but you can actually text in to 866-930-SFM1. That's 866-930-SFM1 if you got anything on your mind on what is going on and all that kind of fun stuff. So you're more than welcome on doing that. We will take a gander at that from time to time and share what is going on. Outside of that, let me tell you what is trending according to the video on demand services. If you're looking for something to do over the weekend, if you have no plans on going out or doing anything along those lines, new to Amazon Prime is Lansky and Madres. New to Disney Plus will be Under Wraps. New to HBO Max is Voyagers. New to Hulu is Jacinta. And then new to Netflix will be A Tale of Dark and Grim, Grudge, LOL Surprise the Movie, My Brother, My Sister, and Pokemon the movie, The Secret of the Jungle. Is that like Welcome to the Jungle? I mean, I'm not sure. Anyway, so there you go. That's what's going on there. So what we're going to do now is bring in our professional broadcasters that like to talk about the things that are going on inside of their neck of the woods. So we'll have them come in, talk about their lingo, and then we will go from there.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. 15 US sailors have been injured in a submarine collision with an unknown object in waters around the South China Sea. US officials say it's unclear what the sub collided with. It comes amid rising tensions in the region and a recent spike in Chinese incursions in the air defense zone of Taiwan. There are fears in the UK of as many as 60,000 flu deaths this winter. The National Health Service is starting the biggest flu vaccination programme in its history. Because of the last year's COVID lockdown restrictions, there isn't as much natural immunity to flu in communities as normal. GP Dr. Sarah Jarvis says there could be challenging months ahead.
We've got colder weather. That means more transmission. We've got darker nights, which means people meeting indoors. But in addition, we've got probably lower immunity to flu. If we combine that with rising cases of COVID, we could really cause problems for the NHS. It's extraordinary how many people underestimate how serious flu can be. In fact, in a recent survey, over half underestimated the number of people who die from flu in an average year. It's about 11,000, with a lot more people ending up admitted to hospital.
India's criticising recent attacks on civilians in the contested region of Kashmir, saying they are targeted killings. 5 civilians have been killed by militants in the last 3 days. Neha Punia reports.
New Delhi says the attacks on civilians this week reflect its concerns about cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan. India has long blamed Pakistan for supporting, training and arming terrorists operating in Jammu and Kashmir, a charge Islamabad denies. On Thursday, in a coordinated attack, a principal and a teacher of a government school were shot dead in Kashmir. The region is governed in parts by both New Delhi and Islamabad, but claimed in full by both. Kashmir has been home to a long-running insurgency movement, and in the last 2 years, New Delhi has significantly increased security presence in the region. Neha Punia, New Delhi.
The US Senate has agreed a short-term deal that will increase America's debt ceiling. The bipartisan agreement avoids the government defaulting on its debts for the first time in history. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
With the clock ticking and just 11 days remaining until the government defaulted, Democratic and Republican senators reached a consensus. It means the US can continue borrowing into early December. The deal has been struck, but the senators still need to vote on the measure. That's expected to happen at some point over the next couple of days. It follows a vicious back and forth and in-party fighting for the Democrats. The Republicans also putting up roadblocks in response to the Biden administration's broader spending plans, including a proposed $3.5 trillion package.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the thoughts of one Trump administration insider on the threat that exists to American democracy. Fiona Hill worked as the former president's senior advisor on Russia within his National Security Council, but she was never an avowed Trump supporter, and she's a published critic of President Vladimir Putin, having literally written a biography that warned of his authoritarian tendencies. She's now written another book, not just about her time working in the Trump maelstrom and then testifying about what she encountered during his impeachment, but warning more broadly of the dangers that she believes now confront America.
There was, I think, a strong shared consensus that, as one very prominent person put to me, during a private moment, that the Republic was in trouble. And we all had to pull together to do what we could, without any fanfare, without drawing attention to ourselves, but just to do what we possibly could to head off what was a real disaster that was produced domestically, not from overseas. And Trump is a symptom. He's not the cause of many of the things that we saw. And while we were so fixated on what the Russians were doing or not doing, we were neglecting the kind of scrutiny that we needed to have on the domestic problems in the United States. So we really need to bring ourselves back to home.
Fiona Hill talking to the Washington Post. Her book is called There Is Nothing for You Here, and it's published by Mariner Books. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, 15 US sailors have been injured in a submarine collision with an unknown object in waters around the South China Sea. There are fears in the UK of as many as 60,000 flu deaths this winter. India's criticised the recent attacks on civilians in the region of Kashmir as targeted killings, and the US Senate's agreed a short-term deal that will increase America's debt ceiling. That's the latest feature story news. Ollie Barrett reporting.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
You know how sometimes in life you have those moments of shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know what I'm talking about. It happens all the time to people. So let's talk about that very sensitive subject of male pattern baldness. Don't go through that moment where you're going, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Let's talk about my friends at Keeps. 2 out of 3 men experience some form of hair loss by the time they are 35. With more than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer from male pattern baldness. You don't have to be one of them. Think about this. There are only 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss, and my friends at Keeps offer both. Keeps offers simple, stress-free way for you to keep your hair. Convenient virtual doctor's consultations and medication delivered straight to your door. I mean, I have to tell you, just for the whole sake of not having to leave your house to have the consultation, that should sell itself. But the low-cost treatments start just as low as $10 per month, and Keeps offers generic versions. Discreet packaging and proven results. Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. I want you to think about that. People love the product. Prevention is key. Treatment can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast. All you have to do to take action to prevent hair loss is to go to keeps.com. That's KEEPS.com/safety. to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com, KEEPS.com/safety to get your first month free. That's KEEPS.com/safety. Remember, not everybody has such a beautiful head as mine. So don't be saying coulda, shoulda, woulda. Act on Keeps right now.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, so many things going on inside of the world as we sit here and hang out and do the things that we do together, that's for sure. Anyway, so anything fun and planned for this particular weekend? Anything cool, out of the ordinary, all that kind of fun stuff? I always wonder about that. I always wonder about what you have planned out because it's always an interesting time. So let's start talking about some plans that started happening this week. Brian Laundrie's dad has joined the hunt. Christopher Laundrie was spotted searching alongside police officers at a park in Florida yesterday. Law enforcement officials requested that Christopher help look for his son at a Florida preserve that had been closed to the public. His lawyer released a statement saying that Chris had not been able to look in one place that he believes that Brian to be located. No word on whether Brian's parents have been further questioned about if they know where their son is, of course, in this case of his disappearance. You know, I'm kind of still amazed with everything going on there and so many people looking for the guy that they still have not been able to find him. So what's your thoughts? Do you think he's still in the U.S. or is he gonzo when it comes to all that kind of stuff? I'm just asking the question. For sure. Anyways, let's continue talking. Otis the bear has been crowned the champion of Fat Bear Week for the fourth time. The Alaskan competition has participants vote brackets of style to decide which of the 12 bears they believe is the fattest. Otis took the top spot on an estimated weight of between 1,000 and 1,400 pounds. So 1,000 to 1,400 pounds. So hold on real quick. You're telling me that you have a 40% swing on what you think the weight is? I mean, that's a little creepy if you think about it for a moment. So just something to think about, that's for sure. Anyways, let's continue talking. Oh, before I forget, 96,000 votes were cast on who was the fattest bear. I mean, think about that. You had people sit around and say, "Hey, we got a fat bear, and let's vote on it." I mean, think about that for a moment. Pretty interesting when it's all said and done. Anyways, a hospital system in Colorado is refusing organ transplants to patients who haven't been vaccinated against COVID-19. UC Health confirmed that the report this week, telling the Post that the organ transplant recipients and living donors must be vaccinated against the virus before undergoing procedures. The reason of the decision is that studies show that transplant patients are more likely to die if they contract the virus. The mortality rate here is somewhere close to 20%. A spokesperson did say that some situations did not require the vaccination, but did not get into specifics. So what do you think about this? This one's a pretty interesting one. I mean, think about that. You have a transplant that you've been waiting to do, and all of a sudden you're told no-y-go-y because you didn't have the vaccination. I mean, that's a strange one. I mean, at least I think it's a strange one. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. It's not the first time you'll tell me that I'm wrong. I'm sure it won't be the last time either. But it's an interesting scenario as we're talking about it. So just think about that for a moment. Anyways, the Nobel Prize for Literature has been awarded to a Tanzanian novelist, and I'm going to butcher his name because that's what I do, Abdul Raket Gurnah, for his uncompromising and compassionate penetration of the effects of colonialism and the fate of the refugees in between the cultures and continents. Wow. Just that alone is kind of a long. I wonder how long the book is titled. Based on the Britain and writing of English, the 72-year-old is one of the two non-white writers from Africa to ever win the prestigious award. His novels include Paradise and Desertion. So there you go. Some interesting stuff always going on around here.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
So because we have nothing really going on and we have no format to the show, I think right now we're just going to jump in and do some wellness stuff. So take a listen.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. An experiment was conducted with two groups of maids at a hotel. One group was told that their daily work activity meets the Surgeon General's definition of an active lifestyle. The other group wasn't given any information. Without any changes in either of the group routines, 1 month later the first group was found to have lost weight and had overall improved health biomarkers, while the second group did not. This story serves as my invitation to you to use placebo effect to your advantage. Bring awareness to your movements. Notice every time you walk from your car, move around the office or construction site, or use the stairs. This will not only make you more present in the moment of movement, but will help you to integrate wellness into the most mundane tasks as you go about your work and your day. This minute was brought to you by Wellness Reset, where we always encourage you to find real ways to reset your wellness. For more information, please visit AlessaMorgan.com.
Okay, so there you go. The placebo effect is all what it's about. So does this mean that I need to go get a job as a housekeeper? I mean, I'm just wondering here on how that needs to work. I mean, just a question for you. You tell me. I have no problem with that whatsoever, getting things done for sure. Anyways, it is 21 minutes past the top of the hour. You are hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. You know how that goes. We're a little bit of everywhere, so we don't need to go back into that spiel that we're on Safety FM and on Radio Big, but you kind of already know that stuff. Anyways, more than 120,000 children in the U.S. were orphaned during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to a new study, more than half of the children who lost a primary caregiver during the pandemic were Black or Hispanic. Author of the study, Dr. Alexander Bleckington of Imperial College London, said that the finding highlights that there are additional resources that should be directed. Federal statistics on how many children went into the foster care system last year are not available, though researchers estimate that the pandemic drove about a 15% increase in orphaned children. So there you go. I mean, you have to sit back for a moment and go, wow. I mean, those numbers are astronomical. When it's all said and done, they're astronomical when it comes to thinking about the amount of life loss when it's set there. Think about it for a moment. Just really do. Let's move on for a moment and let's talk about what's going on inside of the beat of the market, because we're always intrigued by that. So let's do that real quick and we'll come right back after this word from Johnny Smalls.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Friday, October 8th, 2021. Equities rebounded strongly Thursday after lawmakers in Washington reached a deal to avert a government shutdown. The deal extends the debt ceiling limit to December, but does little to fix the underlying issues. Investors should expect this issue to rear its ugly head again in a few months. Today's news will be dominated by the non-farm payroll report. The report is expected to show 500,000 net new jobs created in September, and the figure could be much higher. With 6 million unemployed recently falling off the unemployment roll, there is a chance that the NFP could be in the millions. If so, investors should expect to see the S&P 500 rally strong to a new all-time high. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one on exactly what is going on that side of the equation. Anyway, stocks traded higher on Thursday as the Dow rose 337 points, the Nasdaq lifted 152 points, and the S&P increased by 36 points. Initial jobless claims saw the first decline last week in over a month. Continuing unemployment claimants also fell to a virus-era low. General Motors struggled. They didn't struggle. They surged almost 5% after unveiling plans to double revenues by 2030 by expanding its electric vehicle offering. You know, I have to always tell you, I'm always amazed by how that works. So I want to tell you, I have a plan to triple our listeners by the end of 2025. What, you're not excited? But hold on. When we do that inside of the market, where we talk about that this is the same thing that we want to do, people tend to get excited. Hey, I'm not picking on General Motors. But think about that. That's essentially what it is. So, listen, I want you to be excited that we are going to have more listeners come in. And I have a plan of action on how we're going to do it. Do you get it? This is essentially what caused a rise in 5%. Of their overall, how they surge because of they unveiled their plan. You know, it's I look at this and I go, it's so great on how people do marketing when it comes to certain things. Like I will tell you, there's a guy on LinkedIn that I see all the time that he's always posting about the popularity of his book. And I don't get it because it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So does this mean that if you're popular, or if you have something that's popular, more people should be there? I mean, I don't know. I always like to ask that question. Like this right here that we're doing, we do a video of this show that we put on different social medias, but it gets deleted the next day with the exception of over the weekend. That's the only time that we don't do that, but that's what normally happens. We don't leave it out there. So I don't get it. I mean, I get very confused on the popularity thing. So I just look around and I always just remember the whole thing of just because something's popular does not necessarily mean that it's great. Think about it. Think about that for a moment. Do you know of a very common household word? Because I'll tell you what it is because we've talked about it before. Trash. That's a household word. Doesn't mean that it makes it great.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, the Texas teen who opened fire at his high school on Wednesday, injuring 4, including a 15-year-old who is still in critical condition, is free. Yes, I said he is free. Timothy George Simpkins, 18, will undergo home confinement after posting a $75,000 bond. At his release, civil rights attorney Kim T. Cole, who spoke on the behalf of the family, scolded reporters for calling the incident a standard issue school shooting. She insisted that Simpkins was defending himself after being extremely bullied. Simpkins had been charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Earlier in the day, the gunman family said that he had been bullied coming from a financially blessed family for wearing fancy clothes and driving a $35,000 car. While they don't condone the shooting, they understand why he felt the need to defend himself. So, of course, worth asking, how does differentiate on one school shooting? How does one differentiate from one school shooting to the next? Is it based on the number of casualties, injuries, the skin color, or gender of the person doing the shooting? I mean, what? I mean, I don't get it. How does it change varying on what it is? I mean, a school shooting is a school shooting, which should not be occurring regardless of race, creed, gender, skin color, whatever. I mean, it is really what it boils down to. Think about it for a moment. So the person was being bullied, is what they're saying. And you know how this goes. We always have to go based on both sides, all sides of what's going on. But it's just an interesting scenario on how do guns continue to get into schools. How does this happen here? And it's not like a problem that just happens once or twice. It happens more frequently than what we would like, but you know this. And there's just so many different things to talk about. There's so many different things to think about. It's like, do you really want to have metal detectors at schools? Because that becomes a whole other story and all that kind of fun stuff. And I know that we can get into some really dark places when we start talking about that. So I guess we will titter down when it comes to that information there. Anyways, it is 28 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's continue talking about some other things. The United Nations Children Fund wants governments to pour more money and resources into mental health support for children and teens, especially those greatly affected by the pandemic. The organization says that State of the World Children study is the most comprehensive look at the mental health of children and teens globally so far this century. While it may be years to fully understand the extent of the pandemic had on young people's mental health, the study found that with the lockdown and remote learning, there was a spike in suicidal thoughts, anxiety, eating disorders, and other difficulties in children and teens. Pre-pandemic data shows that nearly 46,000 children and teens ages between 10 to 19 and their own ended their own lives every year. Every year. Did you hear that? End their own lives every year. Pre-pandemic, the economic consequences also forced an additional 142 million children to slip into poverty globally last year. The study concluded noting that the children are unlikely to die from COVID-19, but the pandemic has upended their lives and created real concerns for mental health and well-being. I mean, and I want you to think about this, because we talk about it so frequently, at least the mental health side, and death and suicide. Think about this real quick. The effect that this is having on children, the effect that this is having across the board. Now, we're talking here that, remember, this thing came out of the blue. Nobody expected this. At least we don't think anybody expected this. And all of a sudden, voila, things have changed for everybody across the globe. I remember going through this, and at one point I was doing so much data and information search on what was going on that I even had to ask people that I knew, is anybody else talking about anything else going on in the world outside of COVID because things had become so skew about it. I keep on looking around and I keep on going, what is happening here? What is going on inside of the world? And then I take a look and go, we didn't give a lot of thought to the impact that this is going to have on kids years later, besides of what's going on right now. Just a lot of stuff to think about. So I think it's a good time to start talking a little bit more of when it comes to this whole thing about suicide and it comes to this whole thing about mental health. Maybe it's time to take a look at my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. There's resources all over the place on that page. If you go over to afsp.org, that's afsp.org. All you have to do is just go right to the page. The moment you get there, all you have to do is go join a local chapter. Seriously. It will talk about letting you know how you're not alone, whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one. Know that you're not alone. It's really what it boils down to. If you take and learn from the experiences from people in your local community who have been impacted by suicide and depression, it will change everything for you. You'll be able to hear about real stories of what's going on, how you're able to get help, how you can learn the facts of what goes on with this. And the great thing about this page is that it's in different languages. It's in English, it's in Spanish, it's in Russian, it's in French. You think it's there. Because the information needs to be accessible. And one of the main things is happening now is learn about mental health and COVID-19. One of the main things on the page. Listen, I know life isn't easy. This time frame over the last few years has not been easy with the whole thing with COVID. So if you are struggling mentally or having suicidal thoughts, contact the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention at afsp.org. That's afsp.org, or call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. Think about it. That's all you need to do. Pretty simple process on just getting some additional information there on what is going on. Anyways, extreme rainfall broke records this week in Italy. A series of storms hit northeastern Italy, pouring about 29 inches of rain in just 12 hours, something that has never been seen in Europe before. In Oman, a rare tropical cyclone dropped years' worth of rainfall, bringing deadly floods to the desert landscape, and that rarely sees that much rain over the entire year. Over 36 inches of rain fell down onto another region of Rizzolin, which was about 60 miles south of Milan. For comparisons, 36 inches is roughly the equivalent of the average rainfall for a year in Seattle. Think about that. So Maximilian Herrera, somebody who investigates climate and extreme weather experts, blamed the increase in precipitation on warmer weather due to climate change. I don't know. We continue to talk about this climate change thing. A lot of people say that it's not a real thing, that it's just a marketing ploy. Some people say that it is real. Where do you fall inside of the equation? Just some stuff to think about as we are talking, for sure. Anyways, a little bit more information going on. Officers who were assigned to the Zodiac killer case back in the day do not believe that the serial killer has been identified correctly. A previously reported group known as the Case Breakers claimed that they had cracked the code and identified the Zodiac killer as Gary Francis Post, who died back in 2018. Former San Francisco homicide inspector Frank Falzon, who was once charged of the whole Zodiac case, does not believe that Post is the guy because the name never came up among the hundreds of suspects they had on file. Falzon said that the case breakers have a lot of circumstantial evidence that led to them to Post, but are missing something substantial to make a convincing case, such as fingerprints or handwriting. The mystery continues. It's just the reality of the whole thing. There is an older movie. I can call it older now, with Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and somebody else. Now I'm going to forget who the other guy is. Now I feel bad. But it's a David Finch movie about the Zodiac killer. If you have not seen it, you need to take a gander. a gander on that one, because that's a pretty good movie to take a look at, for sure. Just one of those things that we should talk about. Anyways, let's continue. What do we want to do now? What do we want to do at this particular moment? You know what? Something we haven't done in a while. I think I want to go off of the beaten path. Can we go off the beaten path for a moment? Because we'd like to do a lot about that. So we do motivation minutes, wellness minutes, the minutes of the minutes, because that's what it boils down to. But here's one that we gave you a long time ago. Some people seem to like it. So let's see what you think again, because it's been a while for it. So let's take a listen to the 1 minute devotion.
Hello, I'm Richard Exley with your 1 minute devotion. I don't like to think of myself as a judgmental person. You probably don't either. But if the truth be told, most of us tend to be quick to judge. When we consider our own shortcomings, we almost always give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to others, we often view their shortcomings in the least favorable light. Take a minute and examine yourself. Are you judging anyone? If so, ask God to replace your judgmental spirit with a heart of mercy. Remember, Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." Romans 14 says, "Let us not therefore judge one another." Lord Jesus, replace our judgmental spirit with a heart of mercy. In your holy name we pray. Amen. If these devotions are a blessing and an encouragement to you, you can subscribe at oneminutedevotion.com.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
There is a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the world of virtual private networks or VPNs. Let me tell you real quick about my favorite VPN service, Nordvpn. I hear people say all the time that VPNs have the reputation of slowing down your internet speed, but not with Nordvpn. It's because they are the fastest VPN in the world. I don't have to sacrifice internet speed for better security. With Nordvpn, my traffic is routed through a secure encrypted tunnel, which protects my data and privacy. I can also have NordVPN on to up to 6 devices, so all my devices are protected. I will tell you, I have used NordVPN throughout all of North America and have never ran into an issue with the service. And now, for an exclusive offer for you, get up to 73% off of a 2-year plan plus 4 months for free. Yeah, you heard me right there. 4 months for free. All you have to do to get this offer is go to nordvpn.com/safetyfm. That's nordvpn.com/safetyfm, or use code safetyfm at checkout. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee if NordVPN is not for you, so there's no risk whatsoever. It's the equivalent to buying a cup of coffee every month, a small price to pay for premium cybersecurity and access to vast amounts of entertainment. So go right now to nordvpn.com/safetyfm. That's nordvpn.com/safetyfm to get this special offer, or use the code safetyfm at checkout. Remember, 73% off for a 2-year plan plus 4 months for free. So there you go, summer of our lives. It's funny how we start getting into the winter months and some of us start thinking of summer. This one's called Summer of Our Lives by Wake Up featuring Emmy. This song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. You know, we do the lingo with the bingo. The lingo with the bingo? Really? That's what we're going with? So 42 minutes past the top. So what did you think? What did you think of the devotion minute? Seriously. Like, seriously. Okay, let's go ahead and bring that down and out and about. Oh, there you go. There you go. Always having some fun times over here. What date are we at? We're at the 8th. Okay, so the 8th. So I'm not even sure what day of the week this falls on. So let's double check something over here. I think I might have something to share on the 14th. Yeah, I think it's going to be the 14th. So on the episode of the 14th, so essentially we're talking next Thursday. Yeah, I think it'll be next Thursday. We'll talk about maybe something that's on the verge of happening. Yeah, on the verge of happening. It's going to have an impact on the show. We'll talk about it on the 14th. Yeah, I think the 14th is a good day. A 14th puts us at a good year mark from where what I was doing before. But we'll talk about what we're doing next, which that will be some interesting stuff. I'm sure some people will find that kind of interesting. But we'll talk about that as we go around and about and all that kind of fun stuff. Anyway, so let's continue talking about some other things, because that's not going to be important for the time being. But it is Friday, and I hate when people get into the weekend being all pissy about what's going on inside of the world. So what if we did this? What if we took the next 30 seconds? Yeah, let's do 30 seconds. The next 30 seconds, and we'll turn around and let you scream and shout and let it all out and all that kind of fun stuff. Because I think that's going to be important. So we'll go over here and we'll turn it away. We'll turn it down. We'll go through the move and the groove and all that kind of fun stuff, because that's a pretty simple thing. But we'll go through the moving of what is happening and let all of your screaming and shouting out before you get into the weekend. You don't want to go into the weekend pissed off. You don't want to go into the weekend upset and looking at the world as things are not so fun.
Duh.
I mean, that's just something to think about. So let me find the timer. Where's the timer at? Did somebody move the timer? It seems like somebody did. Maybe that somebody was me. Who knows around here on what's going on? Anyway, so let's put a 30-second timer on. You let you scream, shout, get it all out. And here it is on the screener in 3, 2, and 1. Oh, so there you go. Hopefully you were able to let it all out and shake it all around, and do the hokey pokey or whatever the hell it is that people are doing around that. So there you go. So just something to talk about there. So there you go. So I want to bring this up because this has been kind of hitting the world here. So let's talk about this. Netflix is coming to the aid of a real life person whose number is featured in the hugely popular series Squid Game. It will edit out all scenes that include the number, and after a person behind it received a deluge of prank calls and texts, the number owner said that they have received calls, texts endlessly for 24/7, making it hard to carry out their daily life. Quote, are more than 4,000 numbers that have been deleted from my phone. It's to the point that due to the people calling and reaching out without a sense of day and night, my phone battery is drained and turned off. I have to tell you, I have to ask, because I'm not telling you anything, but I have to ask the question of, have you watched this show? I mean, how good is this show? I keep on hearing about it. I've seen a preview. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I've seen a preview for it, but I haven't actually taken the dive into it. So if you're taking a dive, I'd definitely love to hear on what's going on. Okay, so question from inside of the text world. Okay, I'm not going to read it exactly how it is. They're talking about a conference that is coming up next week. And what do I think about it? These kind of questions put me into a pickle sometimes. So here's the gig. I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. So there's a conference that's actually coming into the area where I live. And let's just be honest on what's going on. They are opening up the conference and giving away now at this particular moment some free tickets. I think we talked about this earlier this week. If not, I definitely had some conversations outside of being behind this microphone of talking about it. But they're giving away some free tickets to go to a conference that is occurring in Orlando. And it's a pretty big conference. And don't get me wrong, I like the people that are putting on the conference. I'm not going to lie. They have an interesting approach on how they do things. But they are requiring and requesting information about vaccines and so on. I don't know if we're still a little early to the game. And what do I mean here? I am talking about, I don't know if it's still conference season for people that are in the safety profession. I mean, idealistically, yes, it sounds like a great idea of, hey, let's go out there and do this. But also at the same time, I don't know if it's the right time. Now, listen, from a vendor perspective, let's just be realistic. The vendors are the ones that actually put the money out there to make these conferences happen. It's really what it boils down to. I mean, when you start talking about when somebody has a platinum level inside of a conference and they have to pay out about $100,000 because they're going to end up telling you that it's a yearly subscription. Sorry, but maybe I shouldn't be showing behind the scenes. So $100,000. So they're helping the conference go on. If they're not getting a ROI or a return on investment for what they're shelling out, is it worth the while? So all of a sudden, as the conference provider, you have to start thinking how you're going to get people to get into the event. And if you in turn do not, and I said do not, have something good and available to you to be able to move forward, it becomes a difficult conversation. It becomes one of those weird things right away. Because here's the thing. The vendors only make money by the actual stuff that they're able to sell. You know that. I know that. So you're going to have to do something as the conference representative to do something. So they have decided to issue out free tickets to the workshop. Or not to the workshop, to the expo, because that's where the vendors are at. So what happens now? I don't know. It's an interesting one because I don't know. Would love to tell you this is what happens next. Don't know what happens next. So what are you going to see? What's going to happen? You have to make the determination. I will tell you, there is a pretty popular place that rocks a mouse in this area. And based on information provided, they are not allowing their employees, or should I say team members, or cast members, to go to any of these events, at least not on the clock and paid for. If they want to go on their own free time and out of their own free will, they're more than welcome to do so, but they are unable to do it under the place actually paying them. Makes it interesting, huh? So just some stuff right away to think about. Just some stuff right away to get that moving and grooving and all that kind of fun stuff. Anyway, so that's what you have going on your end. That's what I have going on my end when it comes to that. But thanks for the question. So I guess to really determine what it is, am I curious to see what's going to happen? Yep, I sure am. Am I close enough to be crazy enough to consider going? I've been giving it some consideration. Am I going to show up? I'll probably make a determination come Monday morning if I'm going to do it or not. Because here's the interesting part. As you know, Monday is a holiday. Columbus Day for some. On the other side of the equation, if you're out in the Canada area, Canadian Thanksgiving. So there you go. It's a holiday, or we'll call it for some a non-service day. So there's going to have to be some stuff to think about it. I mean, I don't know. What do you think should be done? Do you think you should go to something like that, or would you hold off in the time being, even if it's right there inside of the area that you're at? I don't know. Anyways, before I forget, so after the long wait, No Time to Die, rated PG-13 will be released today, or was released today. James Bond has left an active service, but his peace is short-lived when an old friend of the CIA turns up asking him for help, leading Bond to trail the mysterious villain armed in dangerous new technology. So there you go. So that actually comes out today. How many times was that movie delayed? So that's going to be out today. And, you know, I look back and I go, what pisses me off about the whole thing is this. With the whole thing with Billie Eilish. Because Billie Eilish released that song. It's a lovely song. But, man, by the time that they released it and pushed the movie back and all that kind of fun stuff, man, things have actually kind of taken a downward spiral. Anyways, let's talk a little bit real quick. Wendy's beloved Frosty isn't just for dessert anymore. It's for breakfast, too. The fast food chain is partnering up with Kellogg's to make Wendy's frosted chocolate cereal. Yeah, not a joke. With the transformation, the milkshake's chocolatey taste into, yes, real cereal form. In certain chocolate-flavored marshmallows with pieces of intermingled with crispy, cocoa-coated round cereal bites. Wendy says that each spoonful evokes irresistible taste of Wendy's Frosty. The limited edition Frosty cereal will hit the grocery store shelves in December. It will cost $3.99. And it also includes a coupon for a free Frosty at Wendy's. Finally, I can fulfill my lifelong dream of having a Frosty with every meal. So there you go. Some stuff to think about for sure. Anyways, it is 54 minutes past the top of the hour. So what does this mean? This means that we are behind the 8 ball because in 6 minutes, I'm supposed to be going over to Radio Big. So let's talk about some other things real quick before we get you the hell out of here. Real quick. I don't think we're going to have time to talk about that. We're just going to have to put some of this on the back burner. Maybe we'll get to it next week. Anyways, let's talk about some events that occurred back on this date. Back in 2019, Montgomery, Alabama elects Stephen Reed as the first black mayor in 200 years. The Democrat beat businessman David Woods with 67% of the votes. So there you go. So let's talk about some birthdays going on today. Bella Thorne turns 24. Molly Quinn turns 28. Bruno Mars turns 36. Travis Pastrana turns 38. Nick Cannon 41. The Miz 41. Anne Mary Duff 52. Matt Damon 51. Jeremy Davis 52. Sigourney Weaver 72. Chevy Chase 78. And Paul Hogan, yeah, the actor from the Crocodile franchise, turns 82 today. So there you go. If you're looking for some days to celebrate today, I got some for you. National Off-Road Day. National Fluffer Nutter Day. Yeah, Fluffer Nutter Day. National Hero Day. National Pierogi Day. American Touch Tag Day. And World Egg Day. I will tell you, if it was Spanish, El Día de los Huevos, that would probably be something entirely different depending on how you want to take a look at it. So there you go. There's that. Let's talk about Did You Know? In a survey, the average person said it took 5 hours of trial and error before quitting a do-it-yourself project and calling a pro. As more successful DIY projects, when you ask about the proudest thing that they're doing themselves, the number one answer is repainting rooms. New landscaping was second, followed by kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom remodels. Next on the list was replacing light fixtures and new windows. For me, definitely replacing a light bulb. That would definitely be on number one on my list. You know, I try to do that as a DIY project. That's for sure. So let's continue talking a little bit more here before we get you going. If you need some whack facts for today, I got some. The memory capacity of a human brain is equivalent to more of that of 4 terabytes. Half of all forest fires are started by lightning. The first ever email was sent back in 1971. If there are 23 people in the room, there are 50% chance that you will share the same birthday. The most popular fruit worldwide is tomato. If you don't consider a tomato a fruit, it's the banana. The rate the person's hair grows doubles during an airplane flight. So don't get stuck on a flight for too long if you're taking a look at that. Anyway, so just think about that. Anyways, let me give you some scoops of BS before. Here we go. Monday is Thanksgiving in Canada and Columbus Day in the U.S. If Christopher Columbus were alive today, he'd say, if there had only been a special day where you could get an awesome deal on sleeper sofas. A huge asteroid 3 times the size of the Statue of Liberty just flew by Earth, which is good news because Earth has comprehensive insurance, but not collision. A power outage in Ohio left thousands of people without power earlier this week. It was the longest my Uncle Jerry has ever gone without microwaving a Hot Pocket. And I actually was born in Ohio. That's not a joke. A study found that conservatives, after better eating dieting than liberals. Read more about it today's edition of Studies that didn't include Chris Christie. And Russian President Vladimir Putin turned 69 yesterday. He did what he always does. Huge party with friends and family, opened up presidents, and then he blew out Georgia. So there you go.
Oops. What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, if you need a random joke for today, here you go. You are what eats you. If you need a phone starter, try this. What's your favorite holiday and why? If you need something for the water cooler, try this. An estimated 42% of Thanksgiving dinners feature this. What is it? A kid's table. Or you can try this one. A survey of 1,000 men found that the average dad spent about 7 hours a year doing this. What is it? Hiding in the bathroom to take a break from his family. I think I'm familiar with that one. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show exclusively on RadioBig.fm and SafetyFM.com. We can't do what we do without you. The most important part, the listener. That's for sure. If I could leave you with a thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. A thankful heart is not only the greatest value, but the parent of all other virtues. Think about that. Anyways, I hope you have a great weekend. If you want to come out, hang out with me on RadioBig.fm, you're more than welcome to. I'm going over there in a few minutes. See you there if you want to see me. If not, I know who you are. You know who I am.
Duh.
Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.